of al-Qaeda, which he says is asinine. General Gul, thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Alex.
I know you have a lot of other media to attend to. We've only got about 25 minutes with you. Sir, you've got the floor. Break down, now that we have some more time to look at this propaganda move, where you stand and what you believe is happening geopolitically.
Well, I think they are targeting Pakistan, and I think Patriots, as it was said by New York Times, is now gearing up. He's limbering up for launching his third offensive against Pakistan. So I think that is where Pakistan is being cornered now. A case is being built against Pakistan, and they are saying that ISI was harboring this great terrorist. But at the same time, if you look at it professionally, all the time the CIA, the political leadership of America, and even all the European countries and their intelligence services were actually putting Pakistani intelligence on the wrong posse by saying that the high-value targets were hiding in North Waziristan in that terrain which adjoins with Afghanistan. So they were pounding Pakistani civilians and poor, hapless villagers there with their drone attacks, with the Hellfires, and with their Reaper missiles. So they have caused something like 2,500 casualties when the man that they were hunting was actually hiding in one of the urban centers of Pakistan. Now, this is remarkable. I mean, it's an intelligence. Okay, we accept their version, and we say that they are not framing up. And this is not something, although that is a very popular theory here in Pakistan. But if we were to believe every word of what they are saying, then they are more responsible for misguiding Pakistani intelligence, other intelligence agencies, because the CIA and FBI and MI6 had been given free hand in Pakistan to hunt down the terrorists or what they had named, and we had caught so many of them, from Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to Faraj al-Lipi and all the others from the urban centers of Pakistan. So why were they not also responsible for this failure? Agreed that there have been intelligence failure in this intelligence craft. Failures are not something which is outlandish. Sometimes they do happen. But ISI, instead of being lauded for its good work, I think ISI has been scapegoated by the CIA and all the other bigwigs there in America, and they want to now build a case against Pakistan. Although Pakistan really is suffering so much because our sovereignty has been trampled over, our security has been breached. These helicopters, they had spotted the blind areas in our radar coverage, and they came in as if they were the enemies of Pakistan. Now, it brings to light that the relationship with Pakistan, America's relationship, was always one of animosity, not of friendship. And while we were being told that we are friends of America and we are doing everything possible for them, we lost something like 35,000 lives in this process, and we suffered a loss of $68 billion in economic terms only, and everything else that went wrong with Pakistan, the revenge war and so on and so forth. Pakistan has suffered enormously. But now they tell us that you are responsible for everything. Isn't it amazing? And if, let's say, Osama is the one that they killed yesterday, why did they have to kill him? He was a sick man. He could have been hauled up in the helicopter and taken away. And imagine, they haven't shown the pictures. They used to show the pictures of Saddam Hussein, and they used to show his teeth also inside of his mouth, and they used to rejoice over it. And now when it comes to Osama, they say that dump him in the sea as soon as possible. I think there is a lot that goes unsaid, and I think it has to be, it's an untold story which has to come out one day. And I think a probe must be held. If the American administration is reluctant to hold that probe themselves, let the international community demand from them that we ignored the 9/11 thing because you said that this had happened to us and we didn't ask for the evidence. But now it's about time that we ask for the evidence.
General Gul, you brought up a point that is absolutely central, obviously, here. the saber rattling began against Pakistan recently when Pakistan said enough of the drones. I've interviewed Special Forces troops on air. We've had Colonel Schaefer on repeatedly. We've had calls from listeners. It's been admitted in the news that U.S. troops, CIA, Special Forces given unfettered access everywhere in Pakistan for now many, many years. And the fact that they're blaming Pakistan and saying, you knew he was there for 6 years, you just threw the gauntlet right back down and said, you were all over this country, you've been directing the Pakistani army into regions to back you up, going into tribal areas, which, of course, as you have pointed out, does stir up the population, and then they're called terrorists. And now they have us believe in the heart of your West Point, in the heart of much of your intelligence system, he was there. So if he was there, basically what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, 100% 6 years, the U.S., British, Israelis, they knew as well.
Yes, indeed, because I think they have to share the responsibility. They can't shrug it off because they were the superior partner in this war against terrorism, and they had more resources, far more resources than ISI ever possessed. So you were responsible, equally responsible, and besides you were all the time focusing the ISI, directing them towards the Northwest Frontier Province. Why were you doing this? Now this is they always get away. They never are answerable. They were never answerable to 9/11 because no heads were rolled at that time, none from the air traffic control, none from the FBI, none from the CIA, and none from the Air Force, which took 112 minutes to come into action. Can you imagine? They killed Osama bin Laden, if at all that was Osama bin Laden. I don't believe. There are a lot of theories which are going on here. But suppose they killed Osama bin Laden. Why did they have to kill him? So that if he's taken alive, if they had asked the ISI, pointed out to the ISI, which they knew, then ISI would capture him alive. And then he would be put on trial and he will spill the beans that 9/11 was not done by him. And this was the fear because of which they didn't inform the ISI and they went for this hunt themselves independently.
Yes, sir. I saw in Press TV last night the Iranian government is saying they have intel that Al-Qaeda, back from when Al-Qaeda was the good guys in the 80s, was going to leak the fact that U.S. intelligence was basically puppeteering terrorists to then blame it on Mujahideen. And it came out last week in Sky Television that the #1 Al-Qaeda operative inside Pakistan carrying out attacks on the Pakistani military, and this is confirmed, was MI6. It's also been confirmed, even Loftus, former head of counterterrorism with the FBI, Mr. Loftus, John Loftus, he came out on Fox and said that a SWAT ran the 7/7 bombings in London. He is MI6 and has an MI6 security clearance to travel wherever he wishes while he's on the news as the head terrorist. Anwar al-Awlaki, trained in the U.S., born in the U.S., Fox News reports, does dine secretly at the Pentagon and get orders. He then runs the Patsy attacks. As the former head of Pakistani intelligence, someone with connections, I know you don't like to speculate, but looking at the evidence we have, bottom line, there is this group they call Al-Qaeda that are really double, triple agents carrying out events to then be framed on Iraq, on Libya, on Pakistan, on Iran, a cookie cutter, whoever they want to attack. Is that a correct assessment in my analysis, or can you add to that, General Gul?
Absolutely, Alex. I think you are absolutely on the dot. This is what they are doing. They are out to conquer the world at the cost of the American people, their comfort, their lives, their blood, at the cost of their hard-earned dollars. They have, this group is devastating. I mean, they are harboring such ambitions which are anti-humanity, which are anti, above all, the American people. And if you give them free hand, now they are trying to go for Pakistan, and this will be disaster because a desperate Pakistan would be a terrible thing for them to handle. I don't know why they are building up case against Pakistan. Raymond Davis, in that case, the Russian intelligence gave out the information. Pakistan was unfortunately not able to do so because Americans come down hard upon them. But he was carrying some ounces of enriched uranium, and he was to go and carry out some kind of action somewhere else, and then blame it on Pakistan that Pakistan's nuclear assets are leaky and therefore they have to be taken out. They have to be plucked out. And this is my fear, is that they have spotted the areas from where they can infiltrate, and they can come and pick up our nuclear assets or do whatever they want, because they have such liberty of movement here, unfortunately, because of Pervez Musharraf, who was a dictator, and they supported him to the hilt, and he framed such policies which are being now followed by the present regime, which called itself democratic, but it is not democratic, because it is the product of the NRO, the National Reconciliation Order, which was actually stage managed by Condoleezza Rice, and it was signed between David Miliband of the UK and Richard Boucher from the American side, and of course President Zardari from this side, and Benazir at that time. But Benazir became a little violent and she started reacting, so she had to be removed by them. If you remember, John Negroponte came here and he wanted to talk to her that she was becoming rebellious, and she refused to meet him, and then thereafter she was no more. I think this is a very dirty game which is being played by this group.